Okay, I'll start. We'll call the meeting into order. I'll tell you what, I'll do the Zoom statement first. In accordance with the governor's disaster declaration and suspension of certain aspects of the Open Meetings Act, this meeting is being held virtually via Zoom. The public was invited to provide input via email before the meeting. The Zoom information was published with the agenda, so members of the public may attend the meeting virtually and provide input. Okay, let's have roll call.
All right, Ms. Salmon.
Here.
Ms. Bax. Ms. Headland. Mr. Miller. Mr. Modica. Ms. Orcherton.
Present.
Mr. Pania.
Here.
Mr. Robinson.
Present.
5. All right, you have quorum.
Very good. Okay. Next will be approval of the minutes of the previous meeting on May 11th. Does anybody have any questions or comments on those? Okay, if not, I move that we approve those minutes as they stand. Can I have a second?
I second.
Okay. We need to do a roll call vote on this.
Okay. Ms. Salmon.
Aye.
Ms. Headland. Can you unmute yourself, please?
I think Jason did that. Aye.
That's okay. Thank you. Ms. Orcherton.
Aye.
Mr. Pania. Mr. Robinson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any additions to the agenda? Okay, and any public input? Okay, I think we can move on to the staff report then.
Excellent. Before I give my staff report real quick, I want to ask the camera operator to move Sid Gardner into the main room. There you go. Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to be screen sharing. All right, this is your June 2021 staff report from the Urbana Arts and Culture Program. I'm going to begin by saying we continue to be impacted by COVID-19, but hope is on the horizon. We still have staff working partially remotely. We're going to be returning in office beginning next week on a part-time basis in office, so some in office, some outside. But we are also going to be returning to some in-person programs. I'm going to go over some of those as part of the staff report, but that's just something to know. We've been largely remote for the past year, and that is very soon to be changing. One thing that I want to begin by sharing, and that's usually information about our staffing. We recently hired 3 students as part of Illinois Arts Council Summer Youth Employment Grant. This is funded through that grant from the Illinois Arts Council, and we were funded to hire 3 students this year. They must be enrolled in high school or they have to be a recent graduate. They will be engaging in mostly remote work, but in-person programs as well. So largely working administratively from home, but having that in-person for events and programs that we run. I want to introduce them now. So we do have a student who's continuing, 2 students that are continuing from this past semester. Natalie is going to be continuing work through our planning department and the arts program. So she's going to have somewhat of a hybrid internship this summer. Leo Wiltfong is going to continue working for the Urbana Arts and Culture Program specifically, but doing a little bit of work with our economic development team in general. And then our new students are Frances Ivy Barrett and Sydney Gardner. I'm going to just do a brief introduction of each. So let me begin by saying Sydney, who's actually able to join us today, that's who I was just inviting on our call, is an upcoming senior at Champaign Central High School. She's co-president of a newly founded pop culture club, and in the future wants to pursue a career in media and the film industry. And I want to give you a chance, Sid, just to say hello if you'd like to.
Hi.
Hey, welcome aboard.
Hey.
Thanks. Great to be here.
Thanks, Sydney. So Sid just joined. Actually, today was Sid's first meeting. This is true for all of these students, but particularly Frances and Sid, because they are 2 new people. Leo's returning. He's a recent graduate of Urbana High School. He's starting school at Eastern Illinois University in the fall, studying marketing and management. and he's hoping to help arts and arts businesses and really working on small business development with our economic development team as well. Frances Ivy Barrett's also new to our team. She's a junior at Urbana High School. She's really interested in working on cultural history work, healthcare, and really kind of exploring a lot of those careers and their interconnectedness. She enjoys traditional art and she's been a dancer. We connected over that because I am also a dancer from my past, but it's very interesting. We also have a couple of other things I want to mention about staffing. So we are putting together a part-time program specialist position that will be announced. Heather Ann continues to work with us in the office support specialist role for community development. And then this summer, we are also getting students through the Community Learning Lab We See You Scholars Program. So a new set of students from the University of Illinois who will be working with us. And then, as you may recall, the Care for You program lost its grant and they weren't going to be continuing. But the good news is Urbana School District 116 has decided to extend and expand its executive internship that typically occurs in the spring, will now have a fall component. So we will, just looking forward into the fall, be re-enrolling in the executive internship program to be a site for some high school students completing that internship through the school. Okay, so we've got a lot of big news this month. The first, of course, is that the Great Art Doors had all of our sculptures for the Great Art Doors were recently installed. This is our second round of the Great Art Doors, a project of Spurlock Museum, 40 North, the Arts Program, and Urbana and Champaign Park districts. In Urbana, we have 5 sites, and those I'm going to highlight here. The first is Kay Hieronymus's pod number 7 at Learman Neighborhood Community Garden. So this piece now faces Washington Street, right next to the garden. We have Harvest in Weaver Park by Kim Curtis. That's down Main Street, right where you hit Weaver Park. You can see this piece. We've got Waiting to Fly by Mohan Tracy in Crystal Lake Park. This one actually spins and moves, and that's out on your way to the park off Broadway. Greg Stallmeyer's Melt is right now in Chief Schumacher Park on Kerr Avenue in Urbana. And Eka's, French, Between Dog and Wolf is now in Southridge Park.
Entretien.
Entretien is now in Southridge Park in Myra Ridge neighborhood. So this one's actually a lenticular, which means it changes as you look at it from different directions. All of these are the 5 pieces that are particularly in Urbana, but if you go to the link that's right here at the beginning, here at the bottom, on 40 North's page, Great Art Doors, you can find the full list of all 10 sculptures. The City of Urbana's Arts and Culture Program is also sponsoring a special sculpture that will be installed on city, kind of on the corner of Illinois and Vine on city property. And this will be installed in the next couple of weeks and announced as part of Boneyard Arts Festival. So stay tuned for more information about that. But these pieces are all on display now. Were installed last week or the very tail end of the week before. Now, of course, we also have more news. We recently installed Urbana utility box murals this past week as well. This is our program as kind of an expansion of Murals on Glass to incorporate our traffic and utility boxes selected for their visibility and their proximity to different downtown destinations and buildings. We selected 3 sites this time, and they include Main and Ray Streets in downtown Urbana, which now has Greenhouse 2, a piece by Megan Hines. This is in front of what will soon become Sakura, the Japanese restaurant in the Cohen building. We also have Black Mau's Guilt Trip on the corner of Illinois and Vine Streets in Urbana near the Starbucks there on the corner. A high visibility one as well. And then our last is Convergent Evolution by Eka in Crystal Lake Park Aquatic Center, so right next to the pool. We do have some sites selected for the next round. You may recall that even prior to the pandemic, there were some delays with this project. So we are actually ready for round 2, believe it or not, even though we just installed these. So you will see a call for the next round of utility box murals. We've gotten a lot of good feedback on this program already. Lots of really great excitement from the community. And what I hope to do is introduce a nominate the box form where people can suggest a traffic box that they would love to see a mural on, and also give a chance for possible sponsorships by folks who'd like to sponsor a box. So that's being explored, and it's also going to come time for murals on glass. So very soon you'll see an announcement for murals on glass and what sites we're selecting for this year. But those calls will go out very soon, and any support the Arts Commission can give with getting the word out is wonderful. Next up, I just want to make mention of a few of our other pieces of public art that are soon to be heading our way. This grant cycle was the second one in which we've allowed murals to be a part of Urbana Arts grants. One of the murals is that is going in is one that commemorates kind of the community, diversity, and libraries. And it's sponsored by the Urbana Free Library in collaboration with artist Langston Alston. Langston's been designing in different multi-week sessions with people from the community, a mural that will go on the building across the street from the library that the library owns. And so this one too is scheduled to be installed in August, and really excited about how that's coming together. You may recall that we had a piece from Carly Upchurch funded last cycle. So this went on 120 South Main on the back, 122 South Main on the back of the building. Carly also recently had a private sponsored mural to do in downtown Urbana. So you might have just recently seen this one go in near the city building, but that's another new piece of public art that we have in downtown Urbana. I want to mention that besides those two murals, we will have a number of others, one going on Broadway Food Hall. We've got the Common Ground Food Co-op doing murals on the front of their flower boxes. So you will see a lot of new public art pop up. We're trying to coordinate that some of it take place during Boneyard Arts Festival. Any live painting that can go on, we're really encouraging to happen during the festival. So as a reminder, Boneyard Arts Festival is June 18th through the 20th. We have our own contributions to Boneyard. One is an AP Arts student art exhibit called Remote Work, held as part of Artist of the Corridor. This is all going to be work from students in the AP art class at Urbana High School, largely illustration and photography work. We're also going to be featuring our very own Stacey Robinson, collaborating with Shea Robinson, no relation. She's the poet, he's a graphic designer, and together they have Stargazers. This is going to be at the Urbana Free Library as part of Artists of the Corridor as well, as a Boneyard exhibit. And then we have our own event because Young Artist Studio is falling on Boneyard Arts Festival this year. So this is our first in-person Young Artist Studio in over a year. We're going to be outside in Cherry Alley, which is kind of that sidewalk area in front of the parking lot of the Urbana Free Library. We will extend into the parking lot. And artist Kinsey Fitzgerald's going to be leading young people in a chalkathon where we're chalking flowers in an event called Urbana Grows Wild. And DJ Kamau Mau is going to be there with us to also guide us through music and how to create the works that they're creating. But this is for kids 5 and up. They can register with their household, and each household will have a big square, and they'll be 6 feet apart to be able to decorate and design. And we'll have a large amount of chalk art at the end of it. Another exciting piece of this is we've been able to coordinate with a lot of adjacent venues that things are going on at the same time. So this is Sunday, June 20th, 3 to 5. At the same time, we're hoping to have Joyful Bubbles on the lawn right next to the library. And then the Cunningham Township's also going to be having some different art making going on over there in their garden. So that will be a nice corridor of also family focused art making. Other things that are happening, as I said, live painting, Joyful Bubbles. Urbana is another grant that we funded for Urbana to distribute art kits as part of Boneyard Arts Festival to particularly low-income neighborhoods or those underfunded by the arts. So that's going to be also a project that's happening during Boneyard. And then I've been participating as the arts coordinator on the Boneyard Arts Festival Committee and trying to encourage people to participate. Our hope is that those venues that also participate in Boneyard would like to also have their work featured during that 4th Saturday downtown Get Down organizing that we're doing as largely a campaign of what's going on in our downtown venues. Even though that's an in-person Young Artist Studio, we do plan to return to remote, some remote Young Artist Studios for the foreseeable future. So the next one that we're doing following that one is our July event called Kids Learn Bomba, the Puerto Rican drum and dance tradition. And so that will also be with Elizabeth Pabon Cebeza, and she's going to be actually logging in. So that one will be remote and people can do that from home. And then we're adding a new thing this year, starting in July, called Art Show and Tell for young kids. So we've had a few instances where kids have wanted to talk about what they're making during, especially this time of quarantine. So we decided to add an Art Show and Tell as a half-hour program following Young Artist Studio, where we just talk about projects that we're working on. And I encourage anyone to pop in and attend. They are open to the public. You don't have to be 5 years old to attend, but you should encourage 5-year-olds to 8-year-olds to 10-year-olds in your life, that this is a great program for them. I was absolutely stunned by some of the things that people were telling me they've been making, like 8-year-olds who are writing screenplays and, you know, designing wonderful works of art. So just really fabulous, and hope to really nurture young artists through this program too. Our Poet Laureate Ashanti Files continues to be having quite a full schedule of different guest speaking engagements and workshops. We are planning her Poet Laureate Showcase. This is going to be the end of June with the Urbana Free Library as an event outside again at Cherry Alley, so outdoors at the library. She is currently at Martha's Vineyard as a select poet in residence there for the next week. So really wishing her well and excited to hear about the things that she was able to write and do when she gets back. It was a real honor for her to be selected for that. And she's just spending a short-term residency there and will return to Urbana to continue her program the end of June. We continue to really try to promote the arts through Art Inspired. So if you know any artists that you would like to have featured on our social media campaigns, please send them our way. Oh, and Lori's on our call today. I'm featuring Lori's one here. So artists are also given a chance to tell us what inspires them, and then have a piece of their artwork along with their photo and any website information on there. Some other news: Urbana's sculpture program is able to renew both Ice Pops and Races, so we will continue to have these sculptures a little longer. Same goes for Peek Between the Trees. And then we are also going to be installing What is the Good before Boneyard. So in this next couple weeks, we're going to install it because it's going to be up for Boneyard Arts Festival. I'm very excited about all the public art coming in time for the festival. We are continuing to work to develop Urbana's Downtown Get Down as a kind of non-traditional version of the festival. We won't be closing any streets, but we are working with businesses and venues to find out how to promote what they have going on as part of the Downtown Get Down. So we really aim to have some additional like sidewalk adjacent things going on, but largely just encouraging people to shop our local businesses, to go and visit venues for live music, and really be a part of quite a vibrant downtown local music scene that's going on in Urbana right now. We are going to be reintroducing summer movie nights. So they will come back beginning, I believe, in July. And so we're going to be working to produce one, well, possibly in some different venues. So here pictured is the Urbana Love movie screen area, but we're focusing on that area, the Busey lot and the Boneyard Creek Crossing, as well as we're discussing the possibility of doing an indoor one when it starts to get a little cold in Lincoln Square Mall. So we're exploring those. I'll be able to give you more dates and selected movies and information then. And we're exploring the possibility of having them open with a band or having accompanying music during the movies. So hopefully some more information coming soon about these that I can share with you within the next month. Pandemics as a Portal to Change, as you all know, was released. This came as a digital exhibit and in collaboration with Krannert Art Museum, Museum of the Grand Prairie, and honestly, so many others, the Urbana Free Library, the Independent Media Center. We've all been working together to really use the Pandemics as a Portal to Change platform to help kind of do a lot of civic engagement in the arts. So we do have a few panel discussions and events coming up that are going to be held remotely through Spurlock Museum, through Museum of the Grand Prairie and the Forest Preserve, kind of grouped around themes. So one of the first ones that's happening is about some of the pieces that really focus on environment. So we're going to be talking about environmentalism. We've got some other pieces focusing specifically on racial justice, and we're going to be talking about that topic through the arts. So what I love about Pandemics as a Portal is it's being used to kind of have these panel discussions about the intersection of arts and how we imagine the future. So that will have more dates associated with it, and Cranner's kind of keeping the website up to date with where there is more information available. But if you're interested in following along at what's going on with Pandemics as a portal, you'll just go to go.illinois.edu/pandemics as a portal, or excuse me, portal to change, and you'll see all the upcoming dates and associated events. Last but not least, I do continue to meet with Imagine Urbana to discuss how we can incorporate public input processes in the types of work that we produce and events that we do. It's likely that Imagine Urbana may be able to be out at some of our upcoming events, as well as us having some themed listening sessions and things of that nature that we'll be able to include in the kind of overall seeking of public input and visioning for what our Urbana should look like 20 years from now, but specifically our art scene should look like 20 years from now. And my hope is to have the Imagine Urbana planners come back and actually do a type of visioning exercise with the Arts and Culture Commission. So I should have more information about that next month. Lastly, I'm continuing to cultivate Urbana's Creative Placemaking and Activation meeting as a meeting of lots of different people that are activating Urbana through the arts. We had a really wonderful initial meeting, and so I'm continuing to kind of make that meeting happen so that we can get together and really plan what else we want to see for the downtown. Great piece of news is that our CORE grant was funded. You may recall that we submitted a grant in collaboration with Krannert Art Museum and the College of Applied Health Sciences and PACE. And all these 4 groups came together on a project called Disability Aware Cities, where we use public art to really invite people to reflect on accessibility and disability here in the community. And it actually invites not only students to collaborate, students in Applied Health Sciences, which is beginning its new disability studies minor, but also to collaborate with PACE consumers, so people that are participating in PACE programs together to kind of pull oral histories together and create a public art piece. I'm not putting the piece in here because we have kind of a mock-up and it's not a final design, but I really look forward to being able to show you more about this. It promises to be something that gives the city of Urbana more public art that also encourages community connection and thinking about the different needs of the community through art, but also it supports curriculum development for the disability studies minor. It supports outreach and public art efforts for Krannert Art Museum. So it's really a fantastic project that allowed all of us to be able to come together around something that has community impact, but also represents a campus community collaboration. So that's very exciting. And it will fund public art that will then go up in Urbana. Surveys to local businesses continue so that we can really think about downtown activation. And then I continue to serve on that committee that's exploring the use of city-owned parcels and how we might be able to utilize it for arts programming. So these are just pieces of land that the city owns that aren't currently being used, but we're looking to figure out how to support people asking to use them or to otherwise use them to activate in the arts. And last but not least, I just have some special citywide festival dates that I want to share. So again, we're working towards a downtown get down type of event. It's not going to be street closures, but some activation on 4th Saturdays, June through August. Boneyard Arts Festival, June 18th through the 20th. Crystal Lake Park Art Fair is coming on August 7th. The CU Black and African Arts Festival will be 13th through the 18th with the big festival day on September 18th. Welcoming Week for National Immigrant Welcoming Week is September 10th through the 19th. We did fund a number of projects that will happen during that week, including an installation in Lincoln Square Mall. Pygmalion will be the 23rd to the 25th. Something that isn't on here is that you may have heard is that Urbana will now be the home of for this year's Pride Festival. So that is also going to align with Pygmalion, and there's going to be some collaboration between the organizers of Pygmalion and the Up Center that organizes our Pride events in Champaign-Urbana. So that's very exciting too. CU Folk and Roots will be on October 21st to 23rd, and Kwanzaa 365 is monthly, but of course major dates December 26th through January 1st. These are just things to kind of keep on all of our radar as larger events coming our way. I always put this guide in here. It continues to be a great resource for anyone seeking additional support or information for artist relief during the pandemic. And I'll take any questions you have. Any questions? Ralph,
well, thank you,
unfortunately, I
Rachel.
don't think you're allowed to ask a question at this time. It's a
Quite a lot to-
commissioner questions only, sadly.
Quite a lot to take in. It's really impressive.
I'm excited about the
Yes.
amount of public art coming to town. So hopefully we'll really see its impact in the next few weeks.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay, I guess we can move now to the grant presentations. So our first one is Lori Fuller, who's going to present the final report for the grant Art for Life.
Hey, I'm going to
There,
share
Lori?
yep, I'm going to share my screen and give me 1 second, please, and I will have a presentation
Sure.
that's ready to go. Oh, can everyone see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
My name is Lori Fuller, and I'm a local artist from Champaign area. I primarily work with colored pencil, and I've started working with animation, and I have a passion for teaching. And so I really would like to start my presentation with a thank you rather than ending it. So my first thank you I would like to send to the Urbana Arts and Culture Commission for bringing this community together, strengthening the power of arts, especially during COVID-19. So really, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for all that you do. I'd also like to extend a thank you to Rachel. You've always been a great inspiration. You're very creative. You share your creative ideas with all of us. And you have a wonderful way of connecting people. So I want to say thank you for connecting me with Carol Inskeep from the Urbana Library, Julie Schubaugh from the Senior Resource Center, and then also for my current grant, I'm working with PACE, the staff at PACE. And so we are moving forward in so many unique and wonderful ways. So thank you for all of those things that you do, Rachel.
Thank you, Lori.
I also want to mention that, you know, I've lived in Illinois my whole life, and I've actually moved 21 times. And I can say that Urbana is a wonderful, wonderful community. I love how supportive the arts are in this community, and I'm very proud to be a member of this community. So thank you again. My original art grant was called Art for Life. And so what I wanted to do when I submitted the proposal was to work with the staff at Amber Glen and the Alzheimer's patients and create an art at instruction, work with art projects with them, and not only them and their caregivers, and create that wonderful social atmosphere. Promote positive energies and create an atmosphere where they have a lot of confidence. But you know, COVID-19 started in our area, actually all over, and I was, you know, postponed. And I really thought at first it may be 3 months that would be able to go into Amber Glen and start working with the Alzheimer's patients and the caregivers. And then that became 6 months. And then, of course, you know, safety comes first. So I wasn't able to complete my original grant project. So I worked with Rachel, and who provided a lot of great ideas. And so what I ended up doing is creating art instruction, but in a virtual environment. But it was so important to me that I maintained my original goals of providing art instruction to elders, to improve self-esteem, to promote positive energies, and have them learn something new in the process and have fun. And so what I ended up doing is I worked with Carol Inskeep from the Urbana Free Library and Julie Schubaugh from the Senior Resource Center. And I wanted to, and they're great, wonderful folks to collaborate with. And I wanted to create a virtual kind of instruction. So I wanted to create an instructional video, and I worked with colored pencil. So I wanted to create an instructional video where you can learn a colored pencil drawing or techniques from start to finish. And it's, you know, that way, you know, like the participants could stop and start at any time that they were, you know, able to, along with a 4-page guide, which I will show you brief in just a little bit. Also 40 art kits, and then 2 Zoom sessions. And so The guide was to accompany the video, and it was a start and the instructional video was start to finish of the photograph that you see on the cover of the guide. I ended up having a lot of fun creating the video, and so I actually have a lot more videos that are available to the public that's on my website. So there's a watercolor video as well as another color pencil video, and I'm working on a fourth video right now. The guide also, so like the instructional video went from start to finish on covered techniques, as well as, some covered the artistic process. The guidebook, I started with 2 coloring pages that also covered the techniques because I felt like they, wanted to have a nice place to practice those techniques before they went to the actual finished product. And then my guide also incorporated a local artist from Urbana. So this was very important to me because I wanted to highlight one of the artists that lived in Urbana, but also could provide encouragement and inspiration to all the participants. I'm still working on a current art grant. And so for this grant, I'm also looking for artists that are in the area. So if you know of anyone who would be interested in being featured, please send them my way because I'm working on a magazine, a video, and Zoom to the participants at PACE and the Senior Resource Center. So Carol Linsky was not only able to work with the Urbana Library and register participants as well as Julie, but also I had 2 Zoom sessions. So in the first Zoom session, I introduced the video and the guidebook, but I also talked about how to use those techniques that were available in the video to move forward, to continue on working with colored pencil. So we talked a little bit about how to select the perfect photograph, and that may not exist, but also, how to use the photograph for inspiration. We also talked a little bit about, in that first Zoom call, about how to find elements of interest and to incorporate those into your artwork. And then I gave them tips that are also available in the guidebook as well as in the video, and then of course in the Zoom session. So I talked a little bit to them about drawing what you see, and then how to draw what you know. How colored pencil goes from light to dark, which is quite the opposite of when you have painting. The importance to practice and to challenge yourself. But the overall message I was trying to convey at the Zoom, both of those Zoom workshops, was it's better to try, and I don't know if I like the word fail, but it's better to try and fail, or maybe decide you not like the medium rather than fail to try. So it's very important to give it a try and have fun with it. So these are some of the examples that were presented from working from photographs. And this is the video, the instructional video it's 90 minutes long because colored pencil is a very time-consuming medium, but the video would go from start to finish, and here's the finished product that you will see at the end of the video. So when I introduced that, we had, of course, one view. As I was getting the video ready, we ended up with 122 YouTube video views. 15 people registered at the Senior Resource Center that was ranging from ages 61 to 88. 39 people attended the very first Zoom class, which was meant for me to introduce the video and how to work your way through the video, and as well as the guidebook. And then I also shared the PowerPoint with the participants. Carol has also has scheduled a follow-up Zoom, so gave the participants 1 week, to start, to try their hand at the colored pencil and the video. And so we had 16 people register for the second one, and so they were able to show us some of their in-progress pictures. And so we're still having more views on the video. So it's a work in progress, but it's been a lot of fun. And unless I wanted to say again, thank you. And I didn't know if there was any questions.
Any questions for Lori?
I had one. Congratulations, Lori. I had one. I know some local artists I wanted to tell about your program, and I didn't catch the full email address on your slide.
Oh, it's lafullerart@gmail.com.
Oh, good. Then I got it right. Thank you so much.
Lori, I just want to tell you that you and so many on this call and who've continued to come and present to us at 2020 Urbana Arts Grants. I just want to tell you how just astonished I am of how adaptable and flexible everyone's been. You know, Lori reached out early and said, hey, I don't think this thing's going to work out. Amber Glen's not having visitors. And we were able to brainstorm and come up with another option that really still keeps the spirit of this project at the center. And I think you did a really good job with it, Lori. I was just very impressed. So great work.
Oh, thank you. We had a lot of positive feedback from the participants, and I had several of the participants send me emails and pictures of not only the drawing of the video that we worked on in the video, but additional drawings on top of that. So I think it's a wonderful, collaboration with, Carol at the library and Julie over at the Resource Center. And I'm hoping to see this move forward with the current grant that I'm working on.
Well, and I'm so thrilled by it because Julie is also interested in now applying to arts grants. So it's a success story of also helping others see how they can apply for grants too. Great work.
Okay, thanks, Lori. Next, we're going to have Ralph Lewis of All Score Urbana. He's going to present a report on All Score Urbana at Urbana High School.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
So,
Hi.
I'm so happy to be back here after seeing you all last, I think August, I think it was. So we're here to talk about a different variation on All Score Urbana, but I'm going to start by introducing just the program in general. So I'll be sharing my screen. And so All Score Urbana, and of course, this is always that thing where I always get worried that people can see the drop down of the entire window, but I guess you can't, so I'll just proceed. So All Score Urbana is a community engagement music composition workshop that I started in 2016. And even though it functions with this idea of that we're talking about composing, realistically, it's as much about connecting people to different community members in different ways. It functions on this idea of connecting people to performers and performers to composers. The idea of composition not being a solitary act is sort of our running theme. Importantly, this is also a free to the public, and in this case, a free to high school students program. There are many kinds of music composition programs out there. They typically serve people who already have resources and money. This is not one of those. This is something that we don't upsell. If people really want lessons, that's their business, but that is not our business. The idea is that this is a free program. And because of that, we come here and we get your support, and it helps us do this work that, very frankly, rich people spend $1,000 or $1,500 a semester or a year on. That's who we're kind of moving alongside. So rather than charge people $1,500 to try something they're not even sure if they're welcome to do, it's free to the public, and you're the ones that help us do that. And importantly, there's also this idea of community engagement rather than outreach. There is, I think, a general bad vibe in a lot of music making, where people have this idea that they're going to go and they're going to just teach people, that there's so much that they can give to others. I was on a committee for a national conference, and the idea of going and working with people was the idea of what we can bring to them. And I immediately went, well, hold on. They know tons of stuff. We need to learn together and work together. And I try to walk that walk as we work in Champaign-Urbana, and specifically in this case with Urbana High School. So the idea of engagement, which includes listening and so on. In this case, the engagement with this came through working with Ms. Tamara Gingold and trying to figure out how we can work with the students. They had a say in what teaching artists we chose to bring in. And they also helped us figure out that an opt-in version of our program this time best fit a very stressed out, difficult year, while also having some events for everybody. So this spring's events had these teaching artists. You can see me in the upper right corner. There I am. We also had Nate Ballister on clarinet. We had Mike McAndrew, who just got his doctorate in collaborative piano. If you're going to see Turn of the Screw in the next couple of weeks or so, Mike has been involved with that. Kayla McComb, who just graduated with her bachelor's. She's a composer, she's a hornist. Originally, here's something cool. We brought her on to be both composer and hornist, but by the time that we got to presenting the thing, she was moving away from horn, and we were able to adapt to that and have a wonderful composer work with the high school students. Jeffrey Schmelzer here, who's standing by some sort of a lovely canal, is a wonderful vocalist who's run various support roles for us throughout this. And then there's Alyssa Tong, who's a recent graduate of University of Illinois. I'd like to give you a special shout out because with Alyssa, not only is she a wonderful violinist, she runs a fantastic program called String Insiders that's been drawing in professors and performers of all kinds from all around the US. And she's running it herself. And this is this really sparkling entrepreneurial approach that she's taken to things. And I'm so glad that she's been working with us for all these years. So that's everybody that we have involved with this. So for this particular Arts in the Schools program, we took a sort of wide reach and deep dive approach. Wide reach in the sense of we make sure that we tell everybody, in this case, all the students in the orchestras, bands, and choirs about this opportunity, and deep dive in the sense that the kinds of work that we're looking to particularly support are ones that take some time, take a lot of risk, take a lot of fear, take a lot of being there for folks. And as someone who has had to work in that kind of environment where you want to try to do things and you're maybe feeling under supported, or you feel like, do I dare, to not quote T.S. Eliot for the full sentence, do I dare try to make something or try on this hat? Ideally, this is the place where you can try it on, or even if you don't, you're going to know somebody who did. Throughout this program, we worked from February through all of March. We did these weekly workshops. One group was Tuesday, the other group was Thursday and Friday. And the idea was everybody sent us with an online form, and they helped us maneuver between who could do what things. We tried to serve as many people as possible with the instruments that we had. Unfortunately, composers are like cats. To quote an old teacher of mine, what do the composers want? They want something else. So no matter what you had, they're always going to want something else. So we were able to directly serve 6 of the composers, and realistically it was going to be 7, and because one was doing electronics, and then he wanted to work on a marching band show portfolio. So obviously we can't get a whole marching band together for you, right? But we were able to maneuver and support with that person. Another person just loved double bass, and they wanted to write for double bass, and that's just the way it is. In any case, we met weekly. We worked on an individual basis, often dividing up in different breakout rooms. So, for example, on a week where someone is trying to figure out things on violin and Alyssa Tong is there, Alyssa would meet with them and play through and try things out. And that's maybe the magic that we've been doing with All Scored that I'm hoping we can bring back into a more full sense in person eventually, because the idea of being in a room and actually getting to try it with the artist who's so comfortable with their instrument or their voice or whatever, I think that makes a really big difference. There's a difference between just seeing a great performer or great athlete and then actually getting to work with them and actually have that shared collaborative stakes, and that's what we're shooting for. In addition to this, we were so honored to have composer Brittany J. Green come join us. She's the Society of Composers student representative, And since she was with us, she won the Morton Gould ASCAP Award. She got a huge grant from New Music USA. She's just tearing it up. And it's just amazing to have had her come and talk to us. So like I was saying, sometimes when we're working, it's a question of how do we start? And that's extra hard when you're working on Zoom and you have to make sure everyone's got permission to share a screen or this or that. In this example, we're using a free notation software called Noteflight. Now with Noteflight, you get what you pay for. It's a free program. You know, you can do some things really well, some things you can't do. I always recommend printing out paper. I personally use blank paper when I'm composing. And I always make a point of saying that they're all tools. They're all things to help us get where we're going. And so in this case, this is actually Beatrice who has a piece that we'll listen to in a bit. We were trying out a melody and we had made a motive and kept on working on it. And to be clear, notation is not composing. It's just a means of capturing it. I always recommend using kind of especially now with iPhones and so on, you can record a melody or a sound and then come back to it and grow it, you know. But here we use this idea, and you know, Beatrice is a student artist, and she went, I don't like that melody. So the melody you're going to hear in the piece is going to be different, and that's great. I love that. But we got to try out the ideas and model it. And importantly, even though you can't see the other person in the video, that's the other student on Tuesdays. And even though this wasn't their piece, they really enjoyed the idea, the questions and ideas that came up as we tried to figure out how we do this melody. Later on, when pieces are more fully developed, we're still talking about ways to troubleshoot. In this case, the composer whose work we're looking at in this photo was very comfortable writing for winds, very uncomfortable with piano. It was their first time. And the chance to talk about it in workshop and then draw from both my experience as a composer, but also from some of the other students who are also pianists and composers, and the idea of us all talking together, that really helped sort out a bunch of things. And so you'll get to hear this piece in a bit, which I'm very excited for you to hear as well. So here's an example of Beatrice's score. Titles didn't come easily in this cohort, and that is absolutely okay. We can't all do While My Guitar Gently Weeps, you know, sometimes there's a magic in a title. But I'm so proud of Beatrice because it wasn't so much that we replicated a style, but that she had a sense of what she wanted to do, but was maybe uncomfortable with how she wanted to do it. And we were able to work together week after week with both Alyssa checking in, me checking in, Kayla checking in, and Mike McAndrew checking in specifically, and working through and talking about how we can maneuver her ideas forward through time and back through time. So that was just wonderful. Owen's piece, which we'll also hear, this is another really exciting piece because, you know, everything that's so fresh and new, and to get to do this in an environment where someone's not going to say, you did that wrong, or how dare you? Instead, an environment where it's more of a, oh, cool, and how can we help you do that? You know, and ideally, it's also creating relationships with local performers, because Nate, for example, is a doctoral student who might well be interested in playing this again, maybe on a community concert and so on. So with that being said, I'd love to just play a bit of this for you. I know some of you heard it before. So here's a bit of Beatrice's piece. Oops, and let me make sure I actually have it shared, because I think I just clicked Keynote when I shared. Being fancy has its drawbacks. Share sound. Okay. And here's Alyssa Tong playing it. Wonderful. And let me play just a bit of Owens for you. I apologize for it slowing down last time, but this shouldn't have this problem this time. And so yes, it's up there. And so let's see. So just to move forward. So another component of this was the wide reach. And as you can tell, some people were pretty exhausted by this time in the school year, if you can imagine. But and everyone can see, you can see the screen that I've shared, right, with the participant photo. Yeah. So this is the day that Brittany came to talk. And what was so lovely is that she at one time talked about this really outstanding, only 6 people got the following commission from around the globe to write for Jack Quartet, which is a really world-renowned quartet, of which one of the violinists is actually originally from Champaign, which is really cool. But so she had recently had this work read finally. And then she talked to the students and did back and forth, especially with the ones who were especially spurred by electronics, to talk about her process where she had built pieces with electronics. She has this really wonderfully interstitch practice that really draws from a bunch of different sources, a bunch of different understandings of what music means for her. And so it's this multimodal workflow, and it was so great to talk about it in a real serious way with someone who really cares about that. We definitely learned a bunch as we did this. We applied what we learned from last summer. We found that that breakout rooms were really a real gift, despite all the limitations of Zoom. They really helped us project manage, and as long as I was keeping track of who needed what, we could just pop people out and move them around and really facilitate things. It was really great to hear both emails and just informal response from students saying that, like, I was unsure about this part of my project, but meeting with Alyssa for like 10 minutes solved it. Or meeting with Kayla, who knows everything about marching band, I'm done now. I'm fine. You know, that makes me so excited about doing this. We found that offering electronics really was a big draw, and so this summer we're going to include it with our next step with Community of Song. That's going to be something that I think will be a lot of fun for folks. And we also found that for us and for our students that we had to really be more understanding, take more time, and be more flexible, and just keep on trying to be understanding of ourselves and others, because this is a very hard year. And when Zoom isn't working, we all know how that feels. Can you hear me? Can I hear you? I can't see that link doesn't work. Oh no, it's a process. So our next steps, I'm so excited about this. We're going to be starting to offer this summer with online workshops, and then ideally we'll receive completed works, both new and old, in the fall to perform through Independent Media Center in January, February-ish. And we have some just absolutely wonderful singers involved. We have Shaylissa Alexander, we have Teresa Latuma, we've got Michaela Wright, and of course we've got Mike McAndrew back on piano. If you need a collaborative pianist who can back up a singer, Mike McAndrew is one of the most wonderful people to work with. It's just so great to have him involved. And so we'll be doing that, and we're really excited to see what comes up. We've gotten a bunch of nibbles already from people who are interested in this. There's someone who's got a piece for voice and flower pots. as a percussion instrument. So we're going to be looking into that. And there's a bunch of other folks who are interested. And while we haven't fully activated, we fully intend to get back in touch with Ashanti, with Will Rager, and a number of community members, Paul Kodheimer, and make this something where we all get to share and talk about our different expertises and interests. So if you want to be in touch with us, feel free to email us here at allscoreurbana@gmail.com. I host, so we have a Facebook page. My own website, ralphlewismusic.com, is where I host the All Score stuff. This is part of keeping it as cheap as possible. I'm not interested in upselling. There's no, oh, so you're here, how about $1,000 for mind harmonica lessons? We're not that kind of organization. So in any case, but we are looking to continue to work to reach more people, but also appreciate that different kinds of projects need different kinds of support, different kinds of timelines. And I'm looking forward to what cool things we get to workshop, back up, and talk about this summer. I'm really excited. So I'd love to talk to you more about this or take questions.
Questions for Ralph? Well, if no one's going to jump on it, one thing I'd like to say, Ralph, is that one of the things I've had to suspend is a lot of my music programming, because in the past, Art at the Market was one of the most consistent kind of music programs that the Urbana Arts and Culture program put together. And as you can imagine, during the pandemic and wanting to have an in and out farmers market for safety reasons, we've suspended that largely. So one thing I would love to do is to continue to be in conversation with you when so many of the students that you've worked with have now, composed pieces. It would be exciting to, when we do bring back some different kinds of music programming, to have them and the musicians be featured in some way.
That would be lovely. And I think we could definitely do that. There's always the logistics with these things, but offhand, and Alyssa is currently in Texas, so we'd have another violinist, but everyone else is local. So yeah, that would be absolutely lovely. Also, in terms of just music and so on, I'm just talking about my own creativity right now. I'm not trying to hawk it, but I do a fair amount of web-based music making. So I actually have a series of, and you know this because of pandemics as Portal for Change, but I do a series of pieces where you use a YouTube video as an instrument. So when in doubt, you can always just take that out. It is the goodie bag piece. You bring it to a concert, it takes 10 minutes to figure out on your laptop or desktop computer, and away you go. So
yeah. Interesting work. Thank you so much, Ralph. Other questions or comments? All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you, Ralph.
thank you very
Okay,
much.
Next we have Kelsey Langley of the Coop Adventure Play, who's going to present a final report on Arts at Play.
Hello, thanks for having me. I've got a few pictures to share. So this is for our 2019 grant with Urbana Arts and Culture. And I first have to start off with just saying thanks so much for understanding the way the pandemic really changed my spring, summer, and year last year, really. And I know it did for everyone. I actually ended up having to step kind of out of this play world and step into the teaching world during a pandemic, which just drastically changed my year and my capacity for things. So thank you so much for offering this extension, and my apologies that it had to happen that way. And Rachel, especially to you for your support and understanding all along the way here. So Arts at Play, what we did in the summer of 2019 was, this was our second grant idea, kind of centered around this idea of bringing lots of interesting materials and opening up a space in a neighborhood where children live and where they don't probably have adequate play provision. And what we mean with that is a lot of options that suit a lot of needs and a lot of interests for children. And so what we bring is a lot of open-ended materials, kind of from the arts and craft area all the way up to refrigerator boxes and big fabrics and things that kids really use to then bring their imaginations to life through play. And one of my favorite things to see with kids is the moment where they kind of decide what they're going to make, and it goes from the idea in their head to what is, being shown out in the park, and what starts happening there. And I think that spark right there is how we tie this in, with play and art being really, really closely tied together. Moving from that inspiration to that creation stage is so beautiful. And so we were thrilled to provide that to at least 8 different parks through the summer of 2019 in Urbana. And we did some kind of in other programs in other parts of town as well. And mostly at those events we saw, and it's kind of tricky to track because we partner with Urbana Park District, and so there's often other things going on and concerts. But in our observation, it was around 50 to 75 people for each event, and there were 8 events throughout the summer of 2019 in Urbana. So quite an impact, and really showing up where kids live in their neighborhood, meeting them where they are, and offering this experience to try their hand at something maybe they haven't seen before. So another interesting facet of this was to really get grown-ups and children playing together. And so we saw a lot of mixed age play. Here you see, I think this is a 2-year-old, almost 2-year-old here. And this was the neighborhood where she lives. And so it was great to see kids literally from toddlers all the way up to adults really having fun. You see that here too, just a picture of that mixed age play. I love that. Yeah, and here's another concert you see kind of in the background. You see people lined up and watching the concert, and then we had this space that we opened up for play and self-expression and just really bringing those ideas to life. And also holding room for those physical expressions. This was a rolling cardboard box, which is, there's always something surprising. So this was a refrigerator box that ended up actually rolling and tumbling. And again, it's kind of strange.
All right, I'll see you later.
It's kind of strange here seeing people maskless, but again, this was pre-pandemic. And a lot of times we see kids making homes and things to call their own. And what you can't see, and what's really difficult for me to photograph for you, is what they do on the inside of that box. And so that's where they do things like establishing kind of the rules of their space, and really kind of setting expectations for people who want to come and join their space, which is really interesting. But also things like creating a business, or drawing and splashing paint when we have paint available. We always have chalk and pastels and lots of different mediums for them to use. And so the artwork that comes on the inside of those boxes is always a treat, although hard to photograph. So that's my last photo. Other details about the program was just how wonderful it was to meet people right where they live and offer them an interesting experience for their evening, for their whole a new concept or a new offering there, and are really able to take that chance to express themselves creatively. So yeah, we are just so grateful for the support of this vision of arts at play, and the support of the Urbana Arts and Culture program, and also the Urbana Free Library and Urbana Park District and other community partners that come alongside us, or let us come alongside them in some cases, to bring this idea to children right where they live. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Kelsey. Questions for Kelsey?
Kelsey, do you have any thoughts for what you're going to be doing this summer?
It's been really tricky and very overwhelming, if I can add that. As I mentioned, kind of stepping into a teacher role this school year really kind of threw a wrench in a lot of plans. So I'm still kind of in that revision phase and trying to dream up what we can do safely with gathering people together. And it's really tricky when kind of our main clientele is children, and there's still not a vaccine for many of the children who we would see. So
Sure.
yeah, so we're still kind of brainstorming that out and certainly open to ideas and conversations about how to make that work. One of our partners, Urbana Park District, they're not doing the same programming either. And so there's some trickiness there, as some of my matching
Mhm.
partners, had to change their
Sure.
plans for the pandemic too. So yeah.
Sure.
Mhm. Well, you're tugging on our heartstrings by showing us all these pictures of all of us gathering back
Getting out
back
in the-
before the pandemic. So I'm guessing that everyone's ready for some play very soon.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's one of the things I'm missing the most. We
Yeah.
still are having like our summer camp programs and things like that, which are different and look different, but we're really missing coming out into the community and meeting people. And some of these people we know year to year, and some of these children, I don't know their names, but I know their faces, and they share things with us when we're there. So I'm really missing that part of it.
Yeah. Well, and we've
Sure.
delighted having Coop out at Art at the Market, at Downtown Get Down, at different kinds of events that we've done. So
Yeah,
as things continue to be hopefully moving in a good direction, I look forward to revisiting those conversations.
absolutely. Thanks so much.
Yeah, great work.
Thank you.
I noticed you did there was some face painting going on there, one of the little girls. I don't think we'll be able to return to that for a while yet.
Yeah,
That's so popular.
That's
Yeah.
true.
And also the invert of it. That happened actually, Kelsey, one time that I think that Coop wasn't involved, but I swear the spirit of Coop was there, was at the open scene we had in the community garden next to Township. The kids were painting, we presented face paint, but what happened was the kids painted all the adults' faces and got really creative with the face, or painted themselves. It was really creative. And it definitely reminded me of the spirit of Coop. Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you, Kelsey. Okay, next we're moving to Urbana Arts and Culture Commission Service. And I think you're going to take that, Rachel.
I am. So anyone joining us to give grant presentations, don't feel obligated to stay, but it's been great to have you here. This next agenda item is really just a housekeeping thing. I want to acknowledge that there are, we've reached term limits on a couple of folks. So they received emails from me today. So if you got an email today encouraging you to let me know if you hope to be reappointed. And if you do hope to be reappointed, I'm going to try to start as a practice to have everybody just resubmit an application, just so that we can also get a fresh application. If you've been on for a long time, getting a chance to make sure that we know your new skill sets or things that have changed since maybe you first were appointed. But I'm going to make that a practice of the arts program, even if it hasn't necessarily been in the past. So for anyone who doesn't know, the City of Urbana's Boards and Commissions page, as well as our Arts and Culture Commission page right on the city website, does have our current board and commission application. So if you did not receive an email from me today, this does not apply to you. But if you did, that was an invitation also to go to that page and reapply if you're interested, or let me know if you don't intend to be reappointed. I do also want to acknowledge a couple of people are going to have decided to leave the commission. One is Stacy Robinson is leaving the commission. I know Stacy wasn't able to stay for the duration of our meeting today. This was his last meeting. And I just wanted to acknowledge Stacy for his time. He's really just got a lot of things ramping up for him at the university and is going to focus a little bit more on his work. But he's been a joy to have on the commission. And I really just want to thank him for his work and service to the Arts and Culture Commission. He intends to stay involved. And I also told him that, now if you're not on the commission, you're eligible for all these grants and things. So keep it moving with these arts projects you want to do. So I'm really excited to be able to hopefully work with him in a different capacity. And then, of course, I want to acknowledge that Pat Salmon has decided that she is not going to be reappointed. I know this is a big shocker. Pat has been with our Arts Commission since its inception and was involved with the task force that helped launch the arts program.
No, I take that back. I was not on the task force.
Excuse
Barb
me.
was.
Barb's on the task force, but Pat has
Yes,
been around
yes.
since nearly the beginning of
Almost,
the arts
yeah.
program and has helped launch things
2008.
like, the dawn of the arts program.
You're right.
2007 when we started.
Right.
but it's just like been so important to have you be a part of things, Pat. And I wanted to share some recognition of Pat, if you all will give me just a moment. I'm going to screen share. I know. Don't be alarmed. Hold on just one second. I've got to move something. Oh, here it is. Well, first of all, I can't give you a sign, both of you, but soon to be, you will receive a city sign, both you and Stacy, for your service. But more to the point, I have something I would like to share. Oh, and where did I put it? Here it is. Oh, wait, hold on. I think I did not share my sound. So hold on one moment. This is very important in business. I got to do it properly. Share sound. Okay, here we go.
Oh, geez.
You remember these moments, Pat?
Oh, yes.
Well, that's just a
Nice.
thank you for all of your service. This is not a comprehensive view of all the photos I could have included for your times on the commission, but for anyone who's lesser familiar with Pat's contributions, I want to say Pat has been instrumental in launching many of the programs that we're known for, and specifically spent hours and hours filming Art Now,
Yes.
and being the interviewer on Art Now and conceiving of that program together with some others. And I just want to thank you for everything you contributed. And I want to give you an opportunity to say some words if you'd like to, Pat. For folks that are unfamiliar, June marks the end of many terms. So Pat's come up on the end of this term and was deciding whether or not she wanted to be reappointed and seek reappointment, but she's decided this is a moment to step away. So do you want to say some words, Pat?
Sure. I'd just like to say that I'm really honored that I could be helming the commission during this time when, wow, the last decade, art has just grown tremendously in CU. And I'm so glad that I could contribute to it and learn from it and be part of it. I got a lot more from being on the commission than I think maybe they got from me, but it's been a wonderful experience. I'm going to try to stay in touch and help when I can on any special projects, and certainly hope to stay in touch with all of you. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Pat, did you want to also, is it okay if I mention the thing that you also want to do? So Pat's also indicated that she would like to make a contribution to the arts and culture program financially. And so we're also in conversations about what she would like to do with that contribution, because we certainly want it to be something that also honors Pat and her time on the commission, and also honors some of the projects that she's launched and also has wanted to launch, and things that are kind of coming together, I think, in the near future. We've talked a lot about projection art, which is something that Pat loves. So we'll continue that conversation, but I just want to thank you also for thinking of the commission in that way.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. And I told Pat also that as we continue to do and bring back a lot of programs, my hope is to have different working groups to work on things. So she's always welcome to come and stay involved and be involved on the planning side for especially those projects that are really close to her heart.
Yep, that'd be great.
Excellent. So just as a as an aside, that does mean that we will be looking for a new chair for the Arts and Culture Commission. Pat has served in that capacity for quite some time. For any of you that are currently on the commission, if you would like to be considered for the chair position, please reach out and let me know of your interest, because we will be looking for someone to take over those duties. Beginning next month, we will go to in-person meetings once again. If you have any concerns about that, please let me know, and we'll troubleshoot. But that would mean our July meeting would be in person. We will be seeking a new chair at that time, and we will have some vacancies come available. Those who are seeking reappointment, we encourage you to fill out those applications, and then we'll also be advertising some of the vacancies that we will be having. And I believe we'll have at least 3, because we currently have 1, and then with Stacy leaving and Pat leaving, we will have 2 more. So we will have at least 3 seats to fill. My hope is that we can also kind of all chip in and be thinking about how to bring folks in and encourage people to apply for those appointments. So I will be releasing information about those vacancies on our social media pages, and then letting people who've applied in the past but maybe weren't appointed know, and see if they want to reapply as well or have their application considered. But certainly any help in getting the word out about that is going to be great for our commission going forward. And just my heartfelt thanks to Pat especially, but both Pat and Stacy for the work that they've put on this commission. Thank you. Anybody
Thank
else
you.
want to say anything? Okay, good. I want to give everybody the opportunity.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, I guess this is my last meeting. I will be saying we have completed the agenda and we are adjourned.